I was bad at making beats until I learned these 3 things. But first, so when I first started making beats, they used to sound something like this. Not good at all. However, today, and I'm gonna tell you how I got there. So the first point we're gonna touch on is making beats for other people. And before you say, yo, Avidan, I make beats for myself all the time, I get it. Let me just tell you a quick story. I've been making beats for nearly 18 years now, over 18 years actually. And when I was in college, my beat making skills really elevated when I started working with other people. It caused me to take a step back and see what samples or what sounds will work best with their voices. This caused 2 things to happen. 1, I started to learn new styles. I learned how to trust my creative instincts in order to make better drum variations and just different song arrangements. And I made a lot of better beats just by doing that. And 2, I stepped outside my comfort zone. I wasn't afraid of trying something new anymore. I wanted to see what would this produce, and that actually led me placements when I was still making beats for other people. Mind you, a lot of this stuff happened back in 2008, 2009. You fast forward to 2011, I was making about 5 beat tapes that year alone. And for me, that happened in 2011 because I spent so much time working with other people. I wanted to make projects of just experimenting. So you're gonna make better beats just by being around other people. Point number 2, change your environment. Now I know a lot of us probably can change our environments based on how the world is today. You know what I'm talking about. And one of the things you can do is just change up your room environment, whatever room you're in. Now for this part, I'm gonna break this down in 2-fold. I'm gonna give you some at-home ways to change your environment and some ways where you wanna leave the house. Okay? When you're home, start changing up the room decor. Start putting LED lights, whether under your computer or behind you, just to give the room a feel that you want. Set it to a color that you really want to feel, or make it multicolor in order to give the feel that you're really looking for. If you have extra monitors available at your workstation, set one screen so you can just see a different scenery, whether that's a beach, a forest, or a city, what have you. Set that screen so you can feel at peace when you're still making your beats. This way, the beat doesn't have to feel the same. You can feel yourself escaping to whatever place that you see on the screen. And if you're somebody who does need to leave the house and you are at liberty to go other places, make beats in your car if you have a portable MPC. Go to a hotel, go to the beach, go to a green environment. You can go to a forest or something. It actually is proven if you go to a greener environment, it actually reduces stress. And it also amplifies positive emotions. So changing your environment is really key. They can really help you make better beats, because if you're not under stress and you're in a more relaxed state, it's much easier to get into your flow state, thus making better beats. And lastly, the 3rd point, understanding the difference between constructive and destructive criticism. People who give you constructive criticism will always build you up. People who give you destructive criticism will say this is bad and won't find any way to build it back up. You need to understand the difference between this, because commonly when you are a new producer or a new beat maker, whatever you want to call yourself, you are often seeking the validation or the approval of the people closest to you. Be careful about this, because the people who give you deconstructive criticism are often the people who don't really have your best interests at heart. And you want to avoid that, especially if you're new at music production. This actually is something that I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn that you can't go to everybody for their opinion on your music. Some people will say, it's really good. And even that's not constructive, because that's not really building you up to see how you can do better. So be careful around people who say, oh, this ain't sound good, or this sounds this sounds that, this sounds this, but can't point out the pros of your music. Because they can't point out the pros, then they're not really helping you. That being said, implement these 3 things however you see fit. These are the things that help me grow as a music producer and still help me to this day. I still go on long walks, long drives. Sometimes when I can, I go to the beach just to clear my head. Sometimes I'll go to a coffee shop. and just to allow myself to feel free. And lastly, I have a much smaller circle on where I share my music now, because I know these people will give me constructive feedback, or they'll tell me, yo, this is fire, there's nothing else to go with it, and they're just being honest about it. So I do hope this helps you. And if you are somebody who is still working with Machine, you're somebody who is looking for tips on how to build your music from a more practical standpoint, I have a playlist down here where I show you some hacks to help with sampling with Machine, and also some other hacks that really help with utilizing this software. So if Machine is your DAW of choice, then click this playlist down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. And most of all, you make sure you share this with a friend. This is Avidan, and I'll see you in the next video.